Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on the video. In this one, I'll be soloing Final Fantasy I Pixel Remaster with a Red Mage. XP and guild modifiers are set to ×1, I open all of the chests. Promotions are allowed, and the most important rule of all, have fun. With that having been said, let us dive into the action. First, I create my party of 1 Red Mage and 3 Black Mages, which we shall sacrifice for the greater good of the video. We talk to this jibber-jabber fool they call the king, who tasks us with some nonsense about his daughter and a knight. Like, dude, she probably wanted to go with him. Either way, we gear up and make our way to the Chaos Shrine where we fight Garland. At this point, I'm using Chainmail and the Rapier, and I picked up the Protect and Fire spell. The Garland fight isn't hard, I just protect a couple times to defend against his only attack. I use some potions and attack with my weapon. He goes down easily, and this chick takes us back to the castle for some more plot development. The king rebuilds the bridge, and this girl gives us our guitar. Next stop is Matoya's cave to learn she's blind and loses stuff, and naturally I loot her belongings and press on as if nothing went awry. In Provoca, I purchase the spells Temper, Invis, and Silence, which I'll be using against some of the bosses. I also pick up a sweet pair of leather gloves and make my way over to this so-called pirate. He sics his group of 9 pirate goonies on me, so I protect and temper myself, then auto-attack them down and obtain the ship. I make my way to Elfheim, but not before farming enough gil to buy the spells Thundara, Fyra, and Haste. Once I'm geared up, I head over to the Marsh Cave. I fight my way down to the depths and reach the chest guarded by Pisco Demons. At this point in my career, I'm level 14, and the Pisco Demons just slap me down like a red-headed stepchild. I decide to level a couple of times to 16, but that's still not enough. I resign myself to reloading before I even came in here, leveling up at the sea, and stocking up on high potions. I return at level 18, and there's not a preemptive strike, a high speed roll, or low damage roll in sight, so I level up even more. The limited gear options are really holding me back at this point, so I reach level 20 and return to these pesky Pisco Demons. I end up getting Protect off 4 times, Invisible 4 times, Haste, and Temper 2 times. And then I spam high potions, which allows me to evade their attacks and one-shot them all, taking the crown for myself. With the crown, I make my merry way over to the Western Keep. I give this imposter the crown, and he attacks. Behold, Astos. This is exactly why I bought Silence. I managed to land a Silence, which renders Astos pretty much useless. He spends most of his turns attempting to cast magic and failing. This allows me the time to protect myself and buff up. Here I cast Haste 2 times, since he slowed me. The first time removes slow, restoring my hit multiplier back to 1, and the second cast brings it up to 2. I temper a few times and 2-shot Astos for the Crystal Eye. I return the eye to Matoya and receive the Jolt tonic, which I then give to the sleeping prince in Elf Castle, who wakes up and gives me a mystic key. This key allows me to open all of the mystic doors and chests in the game, so I will be opening them all as soon as I can. I managed to get all 3 of the chests in the Western Keep, unlike on my warrior solo run where I couldn't open the center chest guarded by wraiths. I avoid their paralysis and loot the falchion. I believe the Red Mage has a higher magic defense and is affected less by status ailments, making this run a little easier. Next, I go back to the Marsh Cave and pick up these sweet silver armlets. I head to Castle Cornelia for the Nitro Powder, then I go to the Chaos Shrine where I pick up the Rune Blade. Then I make my way to Mount Dwergar to give this dwarf the Nitro Powder, who uses it to blow open the canal. Also, I pick up a mithril mail from one of the chests in there. Now that the canal has been blown open, I can sail the entirety of the seas. The first town here is Melmond, where I grab these spells Firaga, Curaga, and Slowra. Then I make my way to the Earth Cave in attempts to get my first crystal. The first Earth Elemental kills me, so I elect to Protect and Haste to get by. After clearing the first floor, I run back outside and use a tent to refill my MP, then make my way to the vampire, carefully avoiding cockatrices and Pisco Demons. The vampire decides not to paralyze me right away, so our interview goes great and he dies forever all over again, and we swag up the Star Ruby. Inside the giant's cave, we give the star ruby to this golem, who eats it and moves out of our way, opening the path to the sage's cave. The sage gives me his rod, as one does, and now I head back to the earth cave to go even deeper because I have the sage's rod. And that's what that does. After inching my way down, I eventually reach Lich. For this fight, I cast Null Frost and Null Blaze to mitigate some of his magic damage. I cast Viz, Protect, Haste, Temper, and with some uses of high potions, I secure the victory for the Earth Crystal. I make my way now to Crescent Lake for the canoe and the buckler, the only shield the Red Mage can use for quite some time. At this point, I can't buy any better spells until promotion, so I stock up on items and do just that. But in order to do this, I need to get the airship, so I make my way to the ice cave. The river enemies on my way to the cave kick my arsenic, so I gain 1 level and carefully make my way there. Inside, I almost die to some specters, then right after that, I do die to some specters. That's no problem, I reload and try again, eventually reaching the Levistone room. The Dark Fighters guarding the right chest get me a few times, and after like 20 deaths, I get a preemptive strike, which I capitalize on by slamming out 2 Faragas, which secure me the victory, and a shiny new pair of clothes. The left chest yields the Flame Sword, which I equip and fall down the hole. This forced encounter is 9 undead enemies, which proved extremely difficult on my warrior run, but this time I slam out a Firaga and all is well, easy money. Not much goes on from here, I reach the Death Eye and make quick work of it and obtain the Levistone. I make my escape and retrieve my airship. I then make a quick move to loot the chests on the Dragon Islands just before heading to the Citadel of Trials for the Rat's Tail. The Mind Flayers in here spare my mind, which I am eternally grateful for. Then I get super lost at the teleporters, but I eventually find my way through. I snag up a Ruby Armlet, the Ice Brand, and the Rat's Tail, and I ski-daddle my way to Behemoth for my class change. The transformation is complete, I am now a full-on pimp, and from here I fly to the caravan for the Bottle Ferry, then head to Gaia to release that ferry. I then talk to that ferry for the Oxiale and pick up a Protect Ring, then I head back to Crescent Lake where I buy Protera and Thundaga. Next stop, Mount Gulg. Mount Gulg proves to be ridiculously easy. I waltz through like a full-fledged bubblegum suit dancer and meet Marilith at the end. For this fight, I cast Protera 4 times, I haste myself, then I temper around 6 times. I one-shot her and claim the Fire Crystal. Now I head on over to the waterfall to grab the Warp Cube, the Ribbon, and the Defender's Sword, which you can use to cast Blink on yourself, which gives you 80 evasion. Then I head over to Onrak. At this point, I revise all my spells and grab Hold, so maybe I can attempt to paralyze something. Now I make my way into the Sunken Shrine for a bunch of gear I cannot use, and the Rosetta Stone, which I can use. Eventually, this leads me to the Kraken. My strategy here was protect myself, hit the Kraken with slow and hold, then I haste and cast Saber around 6 times or so, and one-shot the Kraken for the Water Crystal. Now for some blade work. I head to Melman to learn Lufinian, then I head to Lufenia to grab the Chime, then I head to the Mirage Tower. There isn't much to say about the Mirage Tower, since I blaze a Blazara my way through. I grab the Adamantite and will have the Excalibur crafted even though I can't use it. Just because I can't wield it doesn't mean I can't carry it around, right? Right. I also get the Protect Cloak here, which is the only other shield item a red wizard could use, so I use it and it's nice. After some climbing, I reach Tiamat. I tried to cast Hold on her, but it wouldn't land, so I elect to just haste and Saber myself a couple times and secure the win. I leave by casting Exit because I can, and that's that. I head back to Mount Dwergar to have the most legendary sword in existence crafted, Excalibur. Then I head right on over and sell that bad boy for 30k. Legendary. Now I head to the Chaos Shrine, and with the power of the 4 crystals, the path is opened up. I make my way to this next altar and shred a 6 solo on my loot and make my way even farther into the shrine. Now I have to fight the 4 fiends all over again, so I'll briefly run over how that went. Lich 2.0, I cast Haste and Saber 2 times and kill him with a few hits. Merilith 2.0, I slow her, silence her, then noodle around a bunch, take her out. Kraken 2.0, I use Blink twice, Protect 5 times, Haste, Saber 5 times, and I get a 2-shot kill. And finally, Tiamat 2.0, I blink thrice, I cast Haste, I protect 7 times, I Saber and Temper, I avoid her casting of Scourge and take her down. And lastly, but not leastly, I reach Chaos. The fight goes pretty good at first. I blink 3 times, I cast Protect as many times as I can while also healing, I haste, I use a dry ether to restore my MP, and then I die. At this point I realize I can equip the Masamune, so I do and I try again. After many protects, blinks, and heals, I manage to take him down, sever the time loop, and complete yet another Final Fantasy I Pixel Remaster solo challenge. Overall, this challenge proved more difficult in the beginning, but due to the higher magic defense, I was affected by status ailments a lot less, making it a little smoother than my warrior run. It was a lot nicer once my AoE damage magic became strong enough to actually one-shot things, and with Protect and Blink I was able to avoid most physical attacks. Silence, Slow, and Hold proved very useful against the various bosses, though it was a lot harder to land those spells on the later ones. This being attributed to the fact that Red Mage is a jack of all trades and a master of none. Though useful in all categories, no one style shines above the rest. I'd say most of the fights were easy or just relied on juggling buffs and heals, then boosting attack power with Haste and Saber. It was really fun to play around with a bunch of the debuffs and see what was possible. Thanks for coming on this journey with me, and check back in for more videos. Later, dudes.